beautiful fabric was all thrifted, and I'm going to show you how to get quality fabric spending way less money than you would in a fabric store. First, we go in my favorite thrift store, and I head straight for the men's shirts because they're usually full of quality fabric. You can feel the quality of the 100% cotton in your hands as you touch them. The first thing I look for is, of course, color. What am I looking for? What am I going to do with this fabric? The second is I want to have a big men's shirt, and I want to make sure there's not extra seams in the back that will cut up the fabric. I want it to be big honking pieces. So I look for giant men's shirts. I like long sleeves because you get so much more yardage with a long sleeve. And I like color. I am forever looking for oranges and reds and the brighter, happy colors. I do seem to like blue too. So I look for color, I look for size, I make sure that it's 100% cotton. If it's a short sleeve, I might buy it if the color is wonderful enough and if the price is low enough. It just depends on what I'm wanting, but long sleeves are definitely preferable. I always start in the extra large place because you get more bang for your buck in the fabric. I check if the fabric is what I like. I like this one. It's not a plaid. I often look for things that aren't plaids like florals and other things, but many of these have polyester in them. So you really do have to check to make sure they're 100% cotton. At least I do because I'm a little bit of a cotton snob. I want it to be quality cotton and I want it to be 100% cotton. So check for wear and tear. You can check on the edge of the sleeves, on the back of the collar, and you can see this has been worn a lot. And that means the fibers aren't as strong in the rest of the shirt. This one has a stain. It's a stain in a place that won't matter, so I might buy it anyway, but I always check for stains because sometimes there are stains in places you just didn't notice till you get home. So be aware of where the stains are and if you can live with that or not. I love novelty prints, and very rarely I get a novelty print that is 100% cotton. Often they have polyester built into them. Brights, I've done lots with brights. You can feel by watching and looking, this one has poly in it. And poly is just not going to work as well. I'm a fabric snob and I want 100% cotton. I want it to be quality cotton and I want it to look nice. And these days they keep putting spandex in, so you'll get 3% spandex. So be careful. I have purchased women's cotton dresses, women's cotton skirts, baby clothes that are out of cotton, and other cotton things in a thrift store before. Those purchases are rare and they just happen because I just can't resist. I do, however, always look in linens. I look in sheets. I like to buy 100% cotton sheets for foundations for my string blocks. I love that you can sometimes find novelty fabrics. I find that the quality is variable. So that last one, it was 100% cotton, but it was terrible. So be sure to always check quality. My tools are ready and I'm going to break down a shirt for you. There's a lot of people who've done this online, but my way is a little bit different because I give myself permission, as you're going to see, to waste things that take too much of my time. So this is a pretty quick process to break down a shirt and put it back into fabric. And it is kind of sad. I try not to think about that it was sewn together so I could take it apart again. But it's such a wonderful way to buy fabric for less. You can get quality, wonderful fabric. So first I take the buttons off. I make sure they don't pop all over the world. And then I just slide my scissors up and I take that whole front thick piece off. Yes, I know it has a proper name, but let's not try to say it and act like I'm a seamstress or anything. So we're just going to take all the thick parts off, and I just run my scissors, and they're very sharp. I use my Kai scissors and I just run them along the seam. Down at the hem, I am not very big of a perfectionist. Close enough is close enough, and if I waste a little, it's okay with me because speed is my friend. I keep all the buttons just because they're the best toy grandchildren could ever hope to play with. Disclaimer, the children need to be old enough not to put them in their mouth or choke on them. Also, you can use buttons for so many amazing quilting projects. I also cut off all the tags and then I go for the sleeves. And my first thing is to cut the sleeve off. There's so much fabric in the sleeve. I do not believe in hurting myself over this. So again, I just do close enough is close enough. I cut that little cuffy part off. Some people believe after they cut this cuff part off that they should save some of the fabric in the cuff, but it's not worth the time to me. Some of you who want to save every little piece are probably having a cow, but really, I give you permission to just throw that in the garbage. You do not have to keep it. If you do want to keep it, I'm showing you one time how to keep it fast, which is use your cutter. But you only get to keep one of the pieces of fabric. Most of them, the interfacing is on there so hard, it's not usable, and you can't use it anyway, and it's too much work. Sometimes it peels off, but not usually. So it's not worth it. So I really do just throw the cuffs away. I do not keep them. Then you go down that one little seam and down the other side of it, and you have, ta-da, a whole sleeve worth of fabric, and it's pretty great. I like to press it and play with it, but we just get all the usable fabric we can, and we salvage it and we save it, and then we fold it up into neat little packages so that we can keep it in my little bin, so when I want it, it is ready for me. Time to cut the shoulder circle seam. It's kind of like going around a roundabout. You just start cutting, you go around and around till you come to the beginning, and you have a perfect little circle that cuts off the shoulder seams. And I do both, and then we're ready to do the rest. This rest, it just keeps getting faster and faster as you go. It's really therapeutic and fun to cut a shirt apart and salvage the fabric. So I cut across that whole back, and because there's tucks taken in, it causes lots of yardage. This is me getting rid of the excess of the yoke. I use my cutter because it just gets the seam off faster and it's quicker than using scissors. So slice, 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 and these pieces are big enough to do lots of things with. So now we're done with all the hard parts and we have just the simple, big yardage, easy parts left. We just sliced on both sides of the seams and ta-da! We are ready to fold everything up and take care of it. It is really fun to measure and see how much yardage you get. It's amazing when you have extra big men's shirts versus maybe a medium shirt. The amount of yardage is so much bigger. And so that's always something to keep track of. Here it's time to think about pockets. I often will leave pockets in and actually work them into a quilt. It's really fun to tuck a $100 bill in a little pocket for a graduating senior. If you don't want to keep the pocket intact, then you just cut around it, then take your cutter and cut around the pocket as quick as you can and salvage the pieces of fabric in the pocket. It's not very big, but I find it to be still a useful size to keep. You have to take that top one and cut off all the seams, so it's even smaller, but it works, and that's another way to deal with the pockets. And we're ready to rock and roll. Here's that gorgeous shirt I bought earlier in the video. It's so beautiful to me, and I still need to process it, but I wanted to show you these quilt blocks that I made from the shirts that I bought earlier in the video. Sometimes I just like to make quilt blocks to use for charity quilts, and these go really well with a couple of fabrics. Look how beauty that is going to be when I put it into some pattern that I come up with. I don't know. Here's another one, and this one is sweeter, softer. It could be for a woman's shelter or for whatever I decide to use it for. This is fun to buy $18 worth of shirts and make all those blocks. I allow myself to have 4 tubs of thrifted fabric. I'm not allowed to have more, so when I run out of space, I have to start sewing. This is my thrifted fabric, and I have beautiful colors. I divide them into colors. They are so useful. I use them all the time. I like plaids. I like florals. These are my brighter ones in here, and some of it is little pieces of yardage that go with plaids, so I keep most of my plaids in the tubs with my shirtings. I just want all of my thrifted fabric together. So if you need some fabric that is less expensive, some of you have been writing to tell me how expensive fabric is in your area, it is worth going to thrift stores and seeing what you can find and picking some up that can bless and serve your life. Stay merry and creative.